Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, thanks a lot for coming by the channel to watch the video here and spend a little bit of your day with me. Really appreciate that. And guys, today this is another one of those videos I've been wanting to do for a while. We're going to talk about how you can outfish anglers that have more money than you do, and anglers that have better resources, better equipment. You may, be in a position where you simply can't afford very much, and other guys can afford anything they want. And I want to talk about how you can actually do better than they do. And this is a really subject close to me, because I was one of those guys that started out with no money at all. And I am just disgusted by the fact that our sport is turning into this financially elite, this elitist activity, where there's this huge separation amongst the level playing field in the sport. As far as some guys can have a lot of money, they can have everything they want, other people don't. So we're gonna give you guys some tips and advice if you're the average American and don't have a bunch of discretionary income to spend on fishing. We're going to get into that today. Also, guys, before we get started, I just want to thank everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. If you haven't done that, guys, free and easy to do so. It's a good way to help the channel. We also have channel memberships that you can click on there in the membership section, or the join button if you're interested in becoming a channel member. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's been using all the links I put in my video description. And real quick, guys, that the sale on my Solar Bat series glasses here, the Labor Day sale's still going on. 30% off right now if you order them, and a free hard case from Solar Bat with any purchase of one of my glasses. And if you use the promo code RandyB with the capital R, capital B, you can get free shipping and handling. So thank you for putting up with plugs. I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, let's get into this a little bit, what I'm talking about. One of the things that has happened in the sport of professional bass fishing is that as equipment advances and as technology advances, every time we have an advancement in this, it creates this more and more of an unlevel playing field in the sport, where right now we don't have any equipment limitations in fishing, especially tournament fishing. So you can have one dude out there that, if they want to spend $500,000 on a bass boat, they can do it, and they're allowed to compete against dudes that may have a little $5,000 beater boat. And I've never understood this. I've never understood why tournament organizations have not put a stop to this. And like so many things, I blame tournament organizations for perpetuating this problem that we have, because if we would have a baseline of equipment, then this advantage that some people have over other people as far as money and fishing, it wouldn't even be a factor that we talk about. But it is a reality in our sport. It's messed up. It discriminates against a lot of anglers out there that are low or middle income anglers that simply don't have it. And I have seen it over and over again, guys. I've seen some bass anglers out there that come from wealthy families. They got safety nets underneath them, and there's really, money's not an option. Money's not an issue to them. If they want it, they're going to buy it. If they want to spend $100,000 on a boat, not a big deal. If they want to put $50,000 worth of cheater boxes on their boat, not a big deal. And other people out there that they can't hardly afford to put 6 gallons of gas in their boat. So I hate that, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like not to have any money, and I know what it's like to wash dishes and wash cars, to have enough money to put in my 6-gallon gas can in my 9-horse Evinrude that I used to have to go bass fishing. I've been there, I've done that. I know what it's like. That's frustrating. And one of the things that always irked me when I was younger is, like, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I had, like I said, a 16-foot Leakin flat bottom with a 12-volt trolling motor, one flasher on it, and a 9-horse 1967 Evinrude tiller steer, the tiller steering on the back. And then I'd go to some of these tournaments, and I'd see these guys, kids, or not kids, but guys my age in their early 20s, late teens. They'd have these brand new bass boats, these brand new Champion bass boats with 150s on them. It's like, how in the heck are you 18 or 19 and you can afford, which back then was the top of the line bass boat? So Anyway, it's always been a sensitive topic. So let's talk a little bit about how you can compete against these dudes out there that are loaded. First of all, and I'm going to give you guys, this is not theoretical. This is how I did it. This is how I was able to compete and win tournaments and do better than people that had a lot more money than I did. The first thing that I figured out when I realized that there was this income gap in fishing is that I had to take control of everything that I could that did not cost money. The first thing that I could take control of was my casting skills. No, that didn't cost me any money. It's a matter of just doing it. So guys, I spent so much time perfecting my casting skills. I became ambidextrous. I could use a right, left-handed reel, sidearm, underhand, overhand, skipping, pitching, flipping, excuse me, literally every type of cast that there was, I perfected it. And it paid off because, you know, I won the Bass Pro Shop National Casting Competition. The first year I competed in it, I got second. Second year I won it, and that enabled me to be able to compete to a large degree with people that had more money because I was a better caster than they were. The next thing that I did, and the next thing that you guys can do, I'm just relating what worked for me, is that when you're on the water, along with your casting skills, you have to be a master at trolling motor manipulation and boat positioning. Do not ever underestimate this. This is an art form and this is a skill. So another thing that didn't cost me any money is I would get out there and I would practice and practice being an expert on my trolling motor. I could back it up. I could turn. They used to have on trolling motors, there was a little dial that showed you which way to go. I'd take that off the trolling motor because I wanted to get so instinctual and so, you know, in tune with the trolling motor that I could operate it simply by feel. So I would spend so much time being able to move the boat the exact speed and the exact direction I wanted to without even looking at the dial. It was almost like the trolling motor was an extension of my body. I could back it up and I could parallel park a boat. You know, I became an expert at, you know, boat positioning and trolling motor uses. So when I got out on the lake, I don't care how much money these dudes against me had. I could run the trolling motor better than they could, and I could cast better than they could. They couldn't touch me because I had spent so much time doing it. So that gave me a huge mental advantage and a huge advantage, you know, practically on the water. Okay, the next thing that you can do, and the next thing that I did, is that I didn't have enough money to put a bunch of gas in my boat. So I had to be able to maximize the area that I was fishing in a small area. Excuse me. So I couldn't, like, if I wanted to run 30 or 40 miles down the lake, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the money to do it. I had to make the most of a little area that I decided to fish in because I didn't have a lot of money for gas. So what I would do is, like, I'd launch in one major creek arm of the lake, and I would just make that little creek arm, you know, my water. That was my spot that I was going to fish, and I didn't have to burn very much gas because this little creek arm was only 1,000 acres or so. So what I learned how to do early on that allowed me to compete and do better than other people out there is I learned how to maximize my water and how to, if I pull up on a little secondary point, I was convinced and I was going to catch every bass on that point because that's where I had to figure those fish out that are there. I didn't have the option of, if they didn't bite on that point, that I could run down the lake 5 miles and try another point. So I had to get intimate, and I had to learn this particular part of the lake better than anyone else. So in other words, say the tournament took out or whatever, and I'm in this major creek arm that's very popular. When I got in there and I saw these other tournament boats fishing around me, they didn't intimidate me. I could care less because I knew that nobody knew this creek as good as I did. I spent my whole time in this creek. I know where every subtle object is. I know where there's a log that's 2 foot underwater in the back of that cove. You know, I know where there's a little rock pile out off the end of this point. I understand these fish better than anybody. I understand the water in this creek better than anybody, and I'm going to catch more bass than anybody in this creek. So when I got into that creek, and this is one of the things you can do, I knew that nobody could outcast me. I knew that nobody could outmaneuver me on the trolling motor. I knew that nobody knew more about the creek than me than I was in. So that gave me the ability, again, to compete and do better than these guys that had more money than I did. And it gave me confidence in those things, those elements gave me confidence in my own ability to do so. So guys, that's the 3 things that you can do. If you're like me and you didn't have money and you're frustrated by it, number 1, become an expert caster, expert boat positioning and casting angle. Those 2 work in correlation. That's the one thing that you have to realize. Your casting skills and your trolling motor skills are like a dance. They work together in unison. So number 1, casting skills, boat positioning, and then learn your little body of the water better than anybody else, and learn to find those areas that have potential to do well, that hold a lot of fish, that you don't have to move around in. If you do those 3 things, you can compete against anyone out there. I don't care how many cheater boxes they got on the boat. I don't care, how fast their boat goes. I don't care what bells and whistles they have. It doesn't matter. You're going to do better than they do. So anyway, guys, hope it helps out. I'll check in later.